Hello and welcome to the Animorphs YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 3 Animorphs characters. Starting with number 3, of course. And these are not restricted to the main Animorphs cast. This is among the entire roster of Animorphs characters throughout the main series and separate side books as well. So, without further ado, number 3. Aximili Escruth Isil, or in modern times, spoiler alert, Prince Aximili. There may be spoilers in this, by the way, so if anyone's listening who hasn't read the whole series, there, have that. Spoiler alert. Right, so back. Ax was historically always my favourite character. I remember back when I was first reading the series, when I was between the age of about 10, 12 years old, he was always my favourite character. And when I first started watching this series, I first read book number 6. And I had no idea what an Andalite was. So when I was picturing what was going on in my head, I had no idea what I was going into. But then I got book, was it 8 or was it 18? It was one of them. It had the picture of Axe on the front. And I was like, that's really cool. So that's what an Andalite looks like. And when I was going through a phase of liking to draw a lot of things, I remember drawing Axe's face and colouring it all in and being really proud. But I thought he was always a very funny character. In a way, he was quite lovable. He didn't really belong there. And he had no idea what was going on half the time, especially when they're doing more human activities. And that's probably why I enjoyed him so much. I enjoyed seeing him react to things that were just completely new to him. And that's what endeared me to him the most, I think. As I've gotten older, I've seen more of his arrogant side. I never really understood that as a naive, stupid little kid. But when I start to understand what arrogance meant and how it came across and all these little things, I started to see between all those lines and see or attribute a tone to his voice and how he was going about things. And he wasn't quite so lovable, hence why he's not quite first on my list anymore. But he's still a favourite for me. I still find him very funny, still quite lovable in many ways. Yeah, he's dropped down to number 3. Good character. Shame he didn't get more narrations. Number 2. Marco. Historically, never really my favourite. He was always sort of a neutral one for me. I didn't care too much. I didn't really dislike him. But as my like for Axe went down a bit, my enjoyment for Marco went up. And much for the same reasons I originally liked Axe, it was a humour thing. I think it must have been a change in my style of humour that changed them from being more popular in my head. I do find Marco quite funny these days, these little offhand comments, little bits of humour which really shouldn't be said in the certain situation, but he seems to get away with because he's Marco. And he has the best lines in the series. I think that's pretty clear. Maybe he doesn't have the absolute best lines, but he's consistently among the best lines in the series. And he's not just there for comic relief either. He's actually got one of the deeper stories in the series. You know, you've got obviously Tobias. He's got probably one of the more in-depth, more grey area-ish stories behind him. Then you've got your characters like Cassie or Jake, whose stories are pretty black and white. It's rather predictable where they're going to go and what they're thinking in a particular situation. But Marco is different. He's going through a bit of a tough time, admittedly. And to see how he reacts to all these changing scenarios... Spoiler, to see that his mother is actually Viza-1 and all that sort of stuff. It's not only is it funny to read about him, it's also quite sad in some ways and also unpredictable and intriguing. And that's why Marco is my number 2. Also, I just want to mention his TV series appearance. Good character, Boris Cabrera in the TV series. So I've only seen a few of the episodes so far. More on that later, I suppose. But the one thing I will say, that haircut. amigo. Right, enough of that. And finally, my number one may come as a surprise to some, absolutely not a surprise to others. My number one character is Toby Hammy. This is the Hawk-Bajir seer born to Jarrah Hammy and Ked Halpak, somewhere between the books 13 and 23. Probably around 16, 17, I imagine. Yet she is the Hawk-Bajir seer that we encounter for the majority of the series. The only one we've really seen is Dak Hammy. There were no obvious clues to any other Hawk-Bajir seers being around. But she was very interesting. And very mysterious too. I think part of that comes because she was very underused in the series, which was a damn shame, really. Because the moments that we did see of her, it was always very interesting and good to see what she thought. You know, the thoughts of someone whose primary interest wasn't saving the humans, whose primary interest was saving a completely different group. And it was always weird seeing how that played into their little conversations. Obviously, she came more into it towards the latter half of the book series, or the latter third, maybe. There was always that little back and forth where she said, my priorities are this, so I'm not going to do that, or I want to do this, change plans to do that. It was always very good to see that little rift, but she was always on side. She was always going to be on the Animorphs side. She was very deferential, especially to Tobias, but she was always very, this is what I want, and I'm not going to change my mind over that. Great leader. Not funny, obviously. She wasn't exactly a comedian, but it was that air of mystery about her. The fact that we didn't really see her much, but when we did, she was very impactful. And I love the Hawk-Bajir in general, so a Hawk-Bajir series was always going to be high on my list. But Toby Hammy is my number one Animorphs character. And if you want to read a bit more about Toby Hammy, go read The Earth Diary of Toby Hammy by Annie Jen on fanfiction.net. I don't think it's on archive of her own, so you'd have to put up with fanfiction. I'll put a link in the description below. It's a fantastic read. It's a long read, but a fantastic read, and it gives you a bigger background into Toby Hammy, which made me love her even more. Remember to check my fanfiction too. I'm doing stuff based on the canon, so I'm considering it all canon in my head anyway, including the Earth Diary of Toby Hammy, because I work off of that one as well. I incorporate that, and I'd go into all sorts of stuff. Check out Animorphs, the Hawk-Bajir Chronicles. I'm a patron for them, so I throw my money at them and hope they give me stuff back. All they've given me back is bad jokes, but I'm happy so far. Go check them out, links in the description, go throw money at them. And, well, what else have I got coming up? I've got Animorphs board games, I've got an Animorphs action figure, which I think I might do a video for in a minute. And I've got books galore. So, this has been Animorphs YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed. Tell me who your top 3 favourite characters are. I shall see you later. Goodbye.